Hello everybody, and it is that time of year again. It is another Sephora VIB sale, and so I'm coming at you with my updated recommendations videos. Obviously my old videos still stand true. I still love all the products I think that I've recommended in the past, or at least I still stand by their quality, but I have a whole new set basically of makeup to recommend you guys, and it's probably going to be a long video, so let's just get on into it. By the way, I filmed this whole look and it's probably up before this video, so if you're interested in that, check it out. Okay, so the first thing that I recommend during the Sephora sale is skincare. I think this is the best time to pick up skincare because I personally hate spending my money on it, but I'm still a snob with some areas of my skincare and like to purchase high-end versions of them. So I'm not going to physically show you anything, but obviously repurchase things that you already love. So I'm just going to go through my favorites. My cleansing balm favorite is either the Glow Recipe Balm or the Pharmacy Balm. Glow Recipe is more waxy and takes a little bit longer to wash off, but the Pharmacy one turns like soft a lot faster. So kind of depends what you're going for. I almost like the Glow Recipe one more because it gives me more time to really rub it into my face, and Pharmacy washes off really easily, but they both get the job done and I really enjoy both of them. There is also a like trio of Pharmacy balms for the holidays that might be worth looking into. For my cleanser, my favorite is the Youth to the People one. Absolutely love it. It's not like a hydrating cleanser, which I like hydrating cleansers, but I feel like for my second cleanse, they don't feel like they're doing enough. And this one is a really good one because it really gets in there and gets everything off your skin, but it's not stripping it at all. I think it's a good like normal to oily skin moisturizer from CeraVe, but with less stripping qualities. I know, I really like it with dry skin. I think it does a really great job without drying out my skin. Moisturizer, I can't really recommend one from Sephora because I haven't been loving any, but I do like Pharmacy moisturizers. I just haven't tried the new, like, I don't know what it's called. It looks like butter. I have not tried that one, and I think I would like that one more than the one that I currently use, but go for one of those if you want, or just go to the drugstore, honestly. But sadly, I do have to recommend the Herbivore Phoenix Oil is freaking expensive, which is why I would recommend, if you are interested in it, to get it during the Sephora sale. Herbivore oils are so expensive and probably not worth the amount of money, but I am absolutely in love with the oils. I'm on my second bottle of the Phoenix oil, and after not having it for a little while, my skin is crying at me in thanks because it sinks into the skin so easily and makes my skin feel bouncy and soft and helps with my redness, and it's just a beautiful oil. I bought it because of Alana Davidson like 3-4 years ago is when I had my first bottle. Beautiful oil. Just make sure you use it up in a timely fashion because it was one that goes bad, but it's a beautiful oil and I don't think it can ever be perfectly duped because it's just beautiful on the skin. But not encouraging you to spend that much money, but if you had your eye on them, definitely get it during the Sephora sale. And then for sunscreen, I recommend the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen. I have dry skin and it doesn't make my skin feel dry, but it doesn't add that greasy sunscreen texture to my skin that I really don't like. It just goes on the skin and it's kind of gone. It has like a unique texture. I would go and try it, but it's like a unique texture that isn't lotiony or like a moisturizer at all. So some people don't like it. I personally like the finish that it gives because it adds a soft, focused glow. I feel like it doesn't make my skin matte, but it doesn't add that like sunscreeny glow that I really like, especially with glowy makeup. So those are my skincare recommendations. If I remember to, I'll put up pictures, but otherwise I'm sorry. But not really a skincare channel. I just thought I would throw it out there that make sure to buy your skincare because you will run out of it within like 2 weeks after this Sephora sale and then kick yourself because you just missed the sale. So I want to say that the sale starts for VIB Rouge on November 5th, but you can look up all the dates and also check out like Beauty Deals BFF or Trend Mood or anywhere online will have all the dates. I will try and list it down below too if I remember it in the future, but there's no guarantees what future Ashley is gonna do. But whenever it starts for you, Rouge gets 20% off, VIB gets 15, and just normal Beauty Insiders get 10% off. So I really think that the sale is only good for Rouge members, to be honest. And then if you're below that, I only think it's a good deal if you're buying from a brand that doesn't have sales on their own website. Like Patrick Ta I think is great, and just other brands that don't have good VIB or good like Black Friday sales, because there are some on their own websites that will always have better sales than 15% or 10%. So just kind of know that the Sephora sale isn't going to be the best deal necessarily that you can get, but it is a very convenient option to just buy everything all at once. Let's get into my makeup recommendations. For primer, I'm going to recommend the Say Beauty Glowy Super Gel Star Glow. This I literally just put on hand lotion, so I'm not going to show you because it kind of just looks like this. It is different than most glowy primers because it really does sink into the skin, similar to the way a moisturizer would, and it's nice and hydrating, and I think it adds something to my skin. When I wear it by itself, it makes my skin really soft, but it adds that slight glow that I think really peeks through makeup, but it's nothing that is like stroby or highlighty. I think it is the perfect merge between a glowy primer and a moisturizer, and the fact that it hydrates but it still adds a slight bit of glow, almost just like a skincare glow. I don't think it's anything super intense, but it's like a beautiful skincare glow that if you have dry skin but you're not looking for something overly hydrating, I would recommend this. I would still obviously recommend like moisturizer and an oil and glowy sunscreen if you have dry skin, but this one, just to make my skin feel like I took a nice big glass of water, it's kind of what this is. It's not a thick moisturizer, but it does add something for those days when my skin is feeling a little bit like tight and blah. My foundation pick, the Tower 28 Sunny Days Broad Spectrum SPF 30 Tinted Sunscreen, is a glorious makeup product. This just came out. I got it in PR, just a disclaimer. I think this is the only thing that I got in PR, but this foundation is absolutely gorgeous. I have a video using this probably right before this, and it's just a beautiful sunscreen. I actually wouldn't consider it sunscreen. I would consider it a tinted moisturizer slash foundation with sunscreen in it, but it truly looks like skin. It doesn't look like makeup, but it still adds more coverage than you would think. I would say it's like a light to buildable coverage. You can build it up if you want, but it's a light coverage. Like, it covers up the redness on my cheeks, but not completely, and I can still build it up with concealer, or you can really sheer it out, but it's not gonna give you nothing. I would say it's kind of like the M Cosmetics Cushion Foundation. Really liquidy foundation, but it truly looks like skin and wears like skin, and I just think a lot of people would really like this because of how it sits on the skin. It's really natural looking, but gives you the perfect amount of coverage, and the finish isn't matte or isn't dewy, but I would say it's on the side of glowy, but in the way of like, I just finished my skincare routine and I look perfect. Not the kind of skincare routine where it literally looks like if you touched you, you'd get 5 pounds of oil on you, but I'm wearing it today. I did powder a little bit, but the finish is just really beautiful, and you can watch my other video if you want to see a little bit more about this, but it's a beautiful sunscreen. I have the shade 10. I keep saying sunscreen. It's not a sunscreen, but it's a beautiful foundation, and it's currently my #1 favorite. I don't have any concealers to recommend from Sephora. My favorite from Sephora is probably the Kosas concealer, but I only just repurchased that during the Kosas sale, and I haven't used it in a really long time. So no concealer recommendations. Moving on to bronzer. Yeah, I think I'm just going to recommend one bronzer because I'm keeping it more fall and winter appropriate. My recommendation for bronzer is the Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Powder Bronzer Duo. This is probably going to be sold out before the sale even starts, but if you can get your hands on this in your shade, I would highly recommend it, especially for the fall and winter where you want something a little bit more subtle and sheer. The contour, I'm wearing it today, I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's in that video. It's more sheer of a base, and it has a little bit of, not dewiness, but it doesn't completely set down. It looks really gorgeous on the skin, and it doesn't add too much. It looks like it'd be super cool tone, but on the skin it does have a bit of warmth to it, and I just think it's a beautiful contour. And then I always go on top with the powder just to add a little bit more warmth into the skin, and I think it's a really beautiful formulation. They're both on the sheerer side, but if you are not new to my channel, you know that I love more sheer bronzers that almost just look like a natural skin sun bronze. I don't like it to look like I'm wearing bronzer, and this is exactly that. So I'm really liking this duo. I think this is probably jumping up to like my #1 bronzer because the colors are just perfect and I like having both of them in the little duo. So I definitely think it's worth it for me because I use a powder and a cream almost every day, so I'm really loving that. Okay, for blushes. I have like all of my blushes sitting in front of me, but my current favorites are all from M Cosmetics, so I can't talk about those today. But first, I'll give a little shout out to blushes that I really like the formula of, but I don't think I'm going to be using much this fall or winter, so I'm not going to talk about them. But the formula of the Melt Cosmetics Cream Blush Lights is absolutely stunning. It's like a slick oil in the pan. It's super thin. It sets down completely, and it's a beautiful formula. You can't feel it on your cheeks at all, but I think the colors all scream summer. This is a really bright pink that I still look like will probably use in the winter, but to me, they're really summery blushes. And so I'm just gonna talk about 3. First, if you want a cream option, I think the Say Beauty Dew Blush is a beautiful option. I have the shade Rosy, but I think it's called Dream is the one that I would recommend for fall or winter. It's like a berry toned that is just what I go for in the fall or winter, but this one is a beautiful, like, mid-toned, slightly warm rose color. It does have a lot of orange behind it, but also some pink. I did a sheer swatch. Here's what it looks like. Like, you can see it has orange behind it, but on my skin it looks like a neutrally leaning warm rose color. And I think it just is really pretty as like a go-to, don't even think about it kind of shade. It's a liquid, but it has a doe foot, so it's really easy to apply. It doesn't have too much of a dew, so I think it gives you that beautiful skincare glow, and it blends really easily and shears out really easily, so I really love this blush. And then I'm going to have to eat my words in my declutter video about these blushes because I've fallen back in love with them. The Patrick Ta blush duos are really all that. She's That Girl is a really nice color that you would think screams spring, but I think in the winter it adds a really nice cold flush to the cheeks. I do like a more cool toned, like, I don't know if it's even cool tone, but I do like a certain color of pink in the winter. This isn't exactly that color. I think that color for me is Kosas 8th Muse, but I'm still going to be using this specific blush a lot in the fall and winter just because I think it's a universal everyday pink color without being too bright and summery. I think it's right down the middle of being able to work year round. But She's So LA, I think, is most people's go-to fall blush. It's got some red behind it that I think looks gorgeous. These are really sheer blushes, by the way, but just love the formula of these now because they aren't too balmy. They are pretty like thin balms that blend out really easily on the cheeks. And it's just the formula that I've really been liking lately. So that's She's So LA. It's like a reddy brown color that looks really great in the fall. Don't think this will be in stock for the sale though. Then if you don't want to order this from her actual site, I would say go ahead and get it during the Sephora sale, but the Pat McGrath powder blushes are so good. This is the shade Divine Rose. It is, I've talked about this one a lot. I'm not going to go on about it, but it's a beautiful powder formulation. So thin and silky, and it's not too overpowering on the cheeks. It just, it looks so beautiful, and it's almost like it blurs itself out the edges. It's a really beautiful formulation, but she doesn't usually have better sales on her site, so I'm not one to buy Pat McGrath from Sephora, but depending on where you live or if you just don't want to deal with Pat McGrath shipping or customer service or anything, I love the powder blushes, and I think they do have some really beautiful fall and winter shades. So Divine Rose is a really pretty one as like a fall or winter pink blush. I'm not super into highlighters lately, but the only one that I would maybe put on my face is the Makeup by Mario Soft Glow Highlighter. Again, I feel like I raved about this one a ton lately, but love this highlighter. It is so smooth to swatch. Your finger just glides in the pan. It's a really unique formulation, and it kind of reminds me of a mix between the Becca highlighters and the Essence Pure Nude highlighter because it gives a beautiful glow to the skin. Like, it's definitely noticeable, but it's not intense and beaming. When you aren't turning your face into the sun, you don't see the stripe of highlighter, but it still adds beautiful glow. So this is the shade Pearl. I really recommend this, and I think this is underrated. It's the best highlighter that I've ever used, and I really love it. For more boring stuff that I think is essential to buy during the Sephora sale, and is mainly what I'm going to be buying, is brow and eye products. So brow stuff, I cannot recommend the Kosas Air Brow enough, specifically in the tinted shade. This is the best tinted brow gel that I've ever used. I don't think it's a fiber gel, so it's not going to get all over your face. It's only going to stick to your brow hairs, and it has a really nice fluff without an overwhelming amount of color, but like I have some good sparseness through the tails, and this really fills them out, and it's the best brow gel that I've ever used, so it is worth the money for me. I am going to repurchase it because I'm running low, and I have the shade Soft Brown. I think it's a really beautiful color. They have a lot of shades in this brow gel, which I think is amazing, because I have such bad luck with brow gels because brown is too dark for me and blonde is way too like light and not good on me. So if they don't have like a dirty blonde color, I'm kind of screwed, and soft brown is perfect for me. The clear one is also great. Mine is disgusting looking, but this one has a really good hold to your brows. I'll usually combine them. The tinted one has a good hold, but the clear one just has a better hold. But these brow products are phenomenal. Eye primer is Fenty Beauty Pro Filter. Best eye primer, especially if you have oily eyelids. It's not like waxy, but it is going to keep your shadows on. And I would set it before you put powders on just so you can blend it out better. But this is the best eye primer. You only need a little bit, so just try a little tiny bit. But it's a really good eye primer that I've never complained about. This is my second bottle of it, so love this one to bits. And mascara. My previous favorite, I told you guys, was the best mascara ever in existence, and it has been dethroned since the day that I tried this new one, and it's the Rare Beauty mascara. I don't know, it doesn't have a name on this. I just have the mini, and this one actually has almost as much product as a full size. This is a Lancome one. Lancome has, oh gosh, I can't read this, 10 milliliters, and Rare Beauty has 8 milliliters. So I would say that the mini, if you were just wanting to try it, is actually worth the price, because this is going to last you a while. But this is the best mascara I have ever used. If you like volume without clumpiness and a little bit of length, get this. This is what my lashes look like with it. The absolute best mascara that I've ever used. I usually only take recommendations from Alana Davidson, but I got this one in PR, and holy cow, this beats the Marc Jacobs at Lashed tenfold. This one is so good. Single eyeshadows, most of them aren't from Sephora, but I will recommend two. First is the Charlotte Tilbury Ice to Mesmerize in the shade Pillow Talk. I need to use this one more, but I think this is a beautiful fall winter shade because it's like a purpley pink color. Especially if you have green eyes, I would go and buy this. Just look at this color. You still get your pink. Oh, look at it in the sun. You can see the slight reflection that these shadows have. But you still get your pink, but it's a nice like cooler toned mauve-y, but not too cool and purple. So I really like the formula of these. They are a cream, so they do crease. But I love the Eyes to Mesmerize, and I think if you haven't tried them, it's a great opportunity to try some Charlotte Tilbury. I definitely think this is the best thing from her brand, and a lot of other things are just okay for me. But the Eyes to Mesmerize, I mean, just look at the color. It's like a fall version of a pink. It's a beautiful color. And then the Smashbox Always On Cream Shadows. Haven't reached for these in a little while, but the formula of these are phenomenal. That I shot out way too much. But the fall shade that I have is called Garage. That was way too much that just popped out. But these dry down completely matte, so you can use these as a primer or a soft wash of color. Tried to sheer it out for you, but this is how I would wear it, just as like a cooler toned brown. I'm sorry for the sun right here, but really nice color if you like a matte but you still really like single shadows. I think these are really nice to just take a little bit on my finger, blend it out on my lid, blend it into the crease, and I'm done. They last seriously all day. They have a ton of colors, and it's an underrated product. I mean, look at that. It's a gorgeous matte color. Okay, eyeshadow palettes. Not really an eyeshadow palette person. You guys probably know I'm very much a single eyeshadow person, but I know a lot of you guys love palettes, so I'm gonna recommend three. The first one, I don't know if it'll stay in stock. It's in stock right now, but I think this one will sell out quickly. It's the Patrick Ta Major Dimension eyeshadow. I know probably everyone is recommending this, but it really is the perfect everyday palette. You got all the matte colors that you could want in the most beautiful shimmer glittery toppers. They're not like typical shimmers where they're like an intense metallic. They are very much a glitter topper that I think is really beautiful, and you can really make it more of a soft glam or amp it up and make it super glittery. I really like this palette, and also the creams work really well. They're a thinner cream that sets down. I do think they probably crease on some people, but I really like them, and just makes a really beautiful palette for your everyday brown looks. I know that some people call this boring when it launched, but I do think this is going to make a huge, like, I don't know, I think a lot of people are going to be buying this during the Sephora sale because it is just stunning. My favorite color is this one right here, and I usually will mix these two mattes, but beautiful color story. Similar kind of vibes, but with more mattes, and I would say a formula that I like slightly better is the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes. This one is great if you don't want a palette with shimmers or you don't like glittery toppers, but you still want a good staple everyday palette, because this one will go with your single eyeshadows really well. A lot of variety in the matte colors, but they're not all the same on the eyes. You can really tell the difference between all of these, and I like it because the dark shades aren't straight up boom pigmented. They have a little bit of sheerness to them, not in a way where they're like patchy, but you can apply them nice and sheerly, and I think it's great for beginners. I was really scared of wearing eyeshadow with depth, and this is what really let me dip my toes into it and really enjoy it. And I think this is like a bridal like type of palette is the kind of look that I imagine with this, not a super like, I don't know, intense eye look. I think it's a really beautiful, oh, I just closed it on my fingers, but a really beautiful palette that I think if you like softer eye looks, it's really nice. And honestly, I'm surprised when I pulled this one out of how much I like an all matte look with this, because you can get an actual variety. You can get more like yellowy mustard tones, you can get like reddish colors, you can get neutral. It's a really good palette. I also think it's more worth the money because the Patrick Ta one is super expensive and comes with less shades than the Makeup by Mario, so keep that in mind. And then lastly, I have the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Eye Filter palette. This is in the shade Star Aura. I don't think this is worth the price at all, but if you've been interested in this, I would say to get it during the Sephora sale. It isn't an intense shimmer, but adds like a soft shimmery look to the eye that is just really pretty. I think I have a video somewhere on my channel looking or using this if you just search it, but really pretty everyday colors. This one is like a more glittery topper, so you can amp it up a little bit. I'll swatch my favorite shades, but don't go into this if you're into super bold makeup looks. This is what they look like. This one is the formula of 3 of the colors, and then you have this one to put on top. I just think it's a really pretty palette that if you're a student like me, I think is really underrated in the makeup community because it's exactly the look that I'm going for. And then for lips, I'm going to recommend the Tower 28 lip jellies. This one is the shade Chestnut. It's in a holiday duo with their clear shade. I would definitely recommend the duo, and I think a lot of people will be picking it up. I'm wearing it right now. It's like a brownie peach with a slight shimmer that you can only really tell in the sun. Beautiful formulation if you haven't tried these. They're pretty slippy, but in a really hydrating and comfortable way, not sticky at all. My favorite colors are also Coconut and Fearless, but this one I think is perfect for fall. I also like the Rare Beauty liquid lipsticks, but I haven't used those in a hot second, so I'm just going to recommend the Tower 28 ones to try and consolidate my recommendations as much as I can, because I think that we could all deal with having less recommendations and just buying as little as possible. Forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video also, but one of my top recommendations are the Rare Beauty brushes. I also have the eyeshadow brush, don't know where it is, but I love the eyeshadow brush for the Smashbox shadows or the Auric shadows. I think they apply shadows beautifully. These all feel like applying your makeup with like a finger because of the shape of it. This is the foundation brush and the concealer brush. Really love both of these. I think they're worth the splurge. My voice hurts from talking so much, so I'm going to leave it at that. Please let me know what is on your wish list for the Sephora sale, and if you're going to pick up anything that I talked about in this video. I hope this was helpful in some way. Oh, one last thing. Please add this to your cart, the NARS Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder. Please put it in your cart. especially if you have dry skin and you just want to lightly set your face and get rid of the cut of the shine but keep the dew, and to prevent like scarves from rubbing your makeup off. Please get this. Set my face today, you can still see the dew, but it's completely set down. This is the best powder to ever exist. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.